When I was assigned to handle the Sol system incident, I should have requested a transfer. Any diplomatic officer with half a functioning neural cluster knows that dealing with humans is career suicide. But here I am, Captain Ron Vesk, decorated veteran of 17 interspecies conflicts and senior diplomat of the Polaran Alliance, filing this report as a formal warning to all sentient civilizations. I need a drink. The official records of the Galactic Concord describe Earth as a Class 3 developing civilization with promising diplomatic potential. That's like describing a supernova as a somewhat energetic stellar event. Most species evolved through cooperation. The Taurans developed their hive mind to share resources. The Vazui Federation's 12 founding species spent millennia communicating through pheromones. Even my people spent 3,000 years perfecting consensus politics before we built our first FTL drive. Then there are humans. First contact occurred 30 standard cycles ago. We expected the usual process: cautious communication, cultural exchange, integration over several generations. Instead, humans went from first contact to having embassies on 17 worlds in under a decade. They negotiated trade agreements that benefited them more than 1,000-year-old merchant guilds. They learned our languages faster than our translation matrices could analyze theirs. What worried the Concord Security Council was how humans reacted to conflict. In civilized space, disputes are resolved through established channels: arbitration courts, diplomatic conferences, economic sanctions. Humans nodded along, signed the treaties, but there was always something off about their compliance. Like predators studying prey. We should have paid more attention to their historical records. The concept they call non-negotiation with terrorists appeared in practically every human culture. That brings me to the Vorax Collective. If humans are the unpredictable wild card of galactic politics, the Vorax are its cancer. Evolved from pack hunters on a resource-scarce desert world, they never developed compromise. The Concord's official position is that the Vorax are developing toward more cooperative governance. Diplomatics speak for too dangerous to exclude, too powerful to confront directly. Which is why, when Vorax separatists seized the Proxima research station, the Concord Security Council recommended cautious negotiation. I should have requested that transfer when I had the chance. Because what happened next changed galactic politics forever. It started like most galactic incidents, an urgent transmission that interrupted my sleep cycle. Captain Vesk. The Vorax have seized Proxima Station. 143 scientists and support staff taken hostage. Her voice lowered. 22 humans. My stomach dropped. Humans? Please tell me you're joking. I wish I were, sir. The Vorax spokesman broadcast their demands. Commander Dravak, his golden facial ridge marking him as high-ranking, stood before terrified scientists. You have 48 standard hours, or we begin executing hostages. The council session was chaos. The Tellurian Overmind advocated patient dialogue. The Missouri representative suggested economic incentives. The Medusan Collective proposed partial concessions. Then Ambassador Natasha Volkov of Earth took the floor. The Sol System Alliance requests immediate authorization for military intervention. We have strike teams ready. We can resolve this within 12 hours. The chamber erupted. Military action without extended negotiation? Unthinkable. The Council voted to initiate the standard negotiation sequence. Ambassador Volkov's face remained expressionless. Let the record show that Earth formally objects to this course of action. She turned and walked out. That's when I received my second urgent message. I'd been appointed lead negotiator. My unofficial orders: keep the humans from doing anything stupid. I established communication with Dravak. What followed were 3 days of the most frustrating negotiations of my career. He demanded. I offered concessions. He threatened. I expressed concern. Around and around we went. The real problem was Earth. Ambassador Volkov remained ominously silent. My intelligence officers reported unusual communication patterns between human military vessels. Something was happening. When I contacted Earth's military liaison, General Marquez, his expression was unreadable. Rest assured, Captain, we fully support the Concord's efforts. Coming from a human, that was about as reassuring as hearing a Vazui say they might borrow something temporarily. 36 hours in, my deputy on Earth sent a secure transmission. Captain, the human diplomatic corps has gone completely silent, and there are reports of unusual troop movements near their Luna base. I cursed in 3 languages. Then I reconnected with Dravak. His smug confidence was gone, replaced by agitation. Your delaying tactics grow tiresome. Perhaps you need motivation. The camera shifted to show a trembling Tauran scientist dragged forward. A pulse weapon rose. No. Commander. The weapon discharged. The Tauran collapsed. As soon as the transmission ended, I opened an emergency channel to Earth. Nothing. Council headquarters. Nothing. The human military vessels that had been stationed nearby were also gone. In desperation, I contacted Dr. Elena Reeves, the human head scientist at Proxima. Dr. Reeves, what are your people planning? A long pause. Then, quietly, Captain Vesk, I suggest you move your vessel at least 3 light minutes from the station within the next hour. My blood ran cold. Doctor, has Earth authorized military action? The Council has not approved. Captain. Her voice was soft but firm. They killed a scientist. Did you really think we'd let that stand? Who was he? He was part of a joint Earth-Tauran defense project. His hive considers him family. And so do we. Don't worry about us, Captain. I swear I heard a smile. Worry about the Vorax. The transmission ended. 6 hours remained on Dravak's countdown. I moved my vessel to a safe distance, claiming need to consult with Concord authorities. Dravak was too focused on his countdown to care. 5 hours remained when I received a priority communication from the Concord Security Council. Captain, we've lost all contact with Earth's channels. Their quantum relays are offline. Their ships have altered course. They're going to attempt a rescue, I said flatly. That is our assessment. You must convince Dravak to release hostages immediately. The transmission dissolved into static. My sensors went haywire. What's happening? Some kind of interference field surrounding the station. All communications are being jammed. I watched the station's lights flicker and die section by section. Within 30 seconds, the entire structure went dark. Tactical display. The image showed nothing, no ships, no attack force. Then my tactical officer gasped. Captain, multiple small objects approaching the station at high velocity. Coming from inside the asteroid belt. Impossible. There was nothing out there but mining operations. I stopped mid-sentence as understanding dawned. The human mining operations, always strangely over-equipped for simple resource extraction. The objects resolved on our sensors. One-person assault craft. Barely larger than spacesuits. Minimal life support. Maximal propulsion. The humans called them drop pods. They slammed into the station's hull at precisely calculated points, breaching the exterior without compromising life support. Breaching charges. Tactical precision. Can we communicate with anyone inside? Negative. The jamming field is still active. Wait, tight beam transmission from inside. Dr. Reeves appeared on screen, wearing light combat armor over her lab clothes. Captain Vesk. Just checking in. Thought you might be worried. Behind her, armored human soldiers moved with practiced precision, guiding scientists toward a central gathering point. Dr. Reeves, what is happening? Special Forces happened. SEAL Team 7 specifically. She grinned. And some Tauran Spec Ops who were very motivated after what happened to their hive mate. But, how did you get past their defenses? Captain, we shut them down 3 days ago. The moment those terrorists took over, we activated dormant protocols. Every communication they sent, we monitored. Every security measure, we controlled. We just needed time to position our response teams. A loud explosion echoed from deeper in the station. That'll be Team 3 reaching the command center. Commander Dravak is about to have a very bad day. The hostages, all accounted for. All safe. We had their locations tagged from the beginning. That's why we needed you to keep Dravak talking, to make sure he kept moving hostages where we could track them. Another human appeared beside her. Ma'am, Ready for extraction. 60 seconds. Got to go, Captain. We're blowing the main docking ports to allow rescue shuttles to attach. You might want to back up another light minute or two. Wait. The Council never authorized this. There will be diplomatic consequences, sanctions. Reeves' expression hardened. They killed one of ours, Captain. We don't negotiate with terrorists. The transmission cut. Controlled explosions rippled along the station's docking ring, followed by a dozen sleek Earth vessels latching onto the newly created openings. 17 minutes from first breach to last evacuation shuttle. It was over. The Vorex terrorists were captured or neutralized. All hostages rescued without a single additional casualty. The galaxy's understanding of humans changed forever. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was packed beyond capacity. Everyone wanted to see the humans explain themselves. Ambassador Volkov stood before the Council, flanked by General Marquez and Dr. Reeves. The overseer read the charges: unauthorized military action, violation of Concord protocols, unilateral intervention in a multi-species crisis. How does Earth respond? Volkov stepped forward. The Sol System Alliance acknowledges the Council's concerns. We also acknowledge that we acted without formal authorization. She paused, scanning the room. And we would do it again without hesitation. The chamber erupted. 142 lives were saved, Volkov continued. The terrorists were neutralized with minimal collateral damage. That is not the point, the Vazui representative shouted. The point is process. Established order. Every species must adhere to Concord protocols. General Marquez stepped forward. With respect, when someone is holding a plasma cutter to your colleague's throat, process becomes somewhat less important. Then why pretend to negotiate at all? Asked the Tauran overmind. Dr. Reeves answered, her voice soft but commanding. Because we genuinely hoped negotiation might work. We always prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. But the moment they executed their first hostage, that became the point of no return. I found myself stepping forward. And therein lies the fundamental difference. For humans, there are points of no return, lines that, once crossed, cancel all previous agreements. The chamber fell silent. Most council species evolved where compromise ensured survival, I continued. Humans evolved where sometimes the only way to survive was to completely eliminate threats. They can engage in diplomacy, compromise, collaborate, brilliantly, right until they consider you a clear and present danger to their people. Then a switch flips. I gestured toward Volkov. When she walked out of this chamber 3 days ago, that was your warning. You just didn't recognize it. The Council voted to issue a formal reprimand to Earth, balanced by a commendation for the rescue. Diplomatic equivalent of a parent saying, I'm not angry, just disappointed, while secretly impressed. As I finalized this report, a personal observation: the humans knew they were violating protocols. They simply didn't care. They calculated the diplomatic cost and decided it was worth paying to save their people. That should terrify every species in the Concord. Because next time, it might not be a rescue. It might be a punitive action. And heaven help whatever species finds itself categorized as terrorist in human thinking. Captain Ron Vesk, Senior Diplomatic Officer, Polaran Alliance. Addendum: I've submitted my resignation. After 27 years, I need a change. Coincidentally, the humans offered me a position as cultural liaison. I've accepted. Given what's coming, it seems safer to be on their side. 3 months after Proxima, the galaxy had settled into an uneasy peace. The Vorex Collective was being restructured under Concord supervision. Earth had officially apologized for procedural irregularities, while quietly expanding its military budget by 40%. Everyone pretended this was normal. Then the Hyberian Dominion seized a human cargo vessel. 23 crew members. Demanding technology transfers and territorial concessions. I received a message from Dr. Reeves, Captain Vesk. Something is happening in the Cygnus sector. You might want to be elsewhere. I asked what she meant. Her reply came 3 hours later. The Hyberians just took the Starfall. Same playbook. Different terrorists. What are you going to do? We're going to try diplomacy. We always try diplomacy first. But Captain, we've already moved our ships into position. Just in case. I checked the news feeds. Nothing. The Concorde was still debating procedural responses. The Hyberians were still making demands. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, human vessels were already accelerating toward the confrontation. The Hyberian dominion fell 7 days later. Not conquered. Not destroyed. Dismantled from within. Their military command collapsed when 3 generals simultaneously defected. Their supply networks fragmented when civilian contractors refused orders. Their home world erupted in protests when footage surfaced of human prisoners, not being tortured, not being executed, but being released. Voluntarily. What did you do? I asked Reeves. She was sitting in a Geneva cafe, drinking terrible coffee. We just talked to people. Their generals, their engineers, their families. We showed them that we weren't monsters. And we showed them that the Dominion had been lying for decades. You overthrew an empire with conversation? She smiled. We overthrew an empire with truth. Conversation was just the delivery method. The Galactic Council convened another emergency session. This time, no one condemned Earth. Instead, species after species requested advisory consultations with human psychological warfare specialists. The term human entered galactic vocabulary as a verb. To human, a situation meant to resolve it so thoroughly that no further dispute was possible. I retired fully after that. Not because I was tired, because diplomacy had changed. The old rules no longer applied. The Concorde now operated on a new principle, unspoken but universally understood. Don't start something humans will have to finish. This is my final report. If you're reading it, you're likely facing a crisis involving Earth. Here is my advice. Listen to them. Not because they're always right. Because they're always prepared. While you debate, they move. While you calculate risks, they act. And once they decide something matters, they do not stop. Captain Ron Vesk, retired. Cultural Liaison, Earth Special Operations Directorate. The Hyberian Dominion fell 7 days after seizing the Starfall. Not conquered. Not destroyed. Dismantled from within. I watched it happen from a small cafe in Geneva, drinking terrible coffee opposite Dr. Elena Reeves. She looked utterly unremarkable, a grandmotherly figure in a plain gray sweater. Anyone passing would have seen 2 old friends catching up. What did you actually do? I asked. We talked to people. Their generals, their engineers, their families. We showed them that we weren't the monsters the Dominion claimed. And we showed them that the Dominion had been lying for decades. You overthrew an empire with conversation? She smiled. We overthrew an empire with truth. Conversation was just the delivery method. The Galactic Council convened another emergency session. This time, no one condemned Earth. No one demanded explanations. Instead, species after species requested advisory consultations with human psychological warfare specialists. The term human entered galactic vocabulary as a verb. To human, a situation meant to resolve it so thoroughly that no further dispute was possible. I retired after that. Not because I was tired, because diplomacy had changed. The old rules no longer applied. The Concorde now operated on an unspoken principle: don't start something humans will have to finish. 6 months later, I received one final message from Reeves. It contained no text, just a single image, a small human child, no more than 5 years old, standing in front of a starship. On the ship's hull, painted in fresh lettering, UES Never Again. I understood. The humans had not forgotten Proxima. They had not forgiven. They had simply been waiting. This is my final warning, filed for the historical record. If you're reading it, you're likely facing a crisis involving Earth. Here is my advice. Listen to them. Not because they're always right. Because they're always prepared. While you debate, they move. While you calculate risks, they act. And once they decide something matters, they do not stop. Captain Ron Vesk, retired. Cultural Liaison, former. Earth, Sol System. 1 year after Proxima, I returned to the Galactic Council chamber. Not as a diplomat. As a visitor. The humans had asked me to accompany their delegation as an observer, and I found myself curious about how the galaxy had changed. The chamber looked the same: tiered seats, holographic displays, the slow dance of procedural motions. But the atmosphere was different. The Vorax seat stood empty. Other aggressive species had become notably quieter, their representatives speaking with uncharacteristic humility. Ambassador Volkov had been replaced by a younger woman, Ambassador Chen, who smiled easily and never raised her voice. She was, by all accounts, terrifying. The agenda that day concerned a dispute between two minor species over mining rights. Under the old system, the council would have debated for weeks. Instead, Ambassador Chen rose and said, "Have you tried talking to each other?" The two delegations stared at her. I mean really talking. Not through intermediaries or legal frameworks. Just talking. Within an hour, the dispute was resolved. No sanctions. No arbitration. Just conversation. I found Dr. Reeves in the observation gallery. She was drinking tea and watching the proceedings with quiet satisfaction. "You've changed everything," I said. "No," she replied. "We just reminded everyone what they already knew. That strength isn't about who has the biggest weapons. It's about who refuses to let their people suffer. And if someone doesn't listen..." She set down her cup. "Then they learn. One way or another." The council session ended. Delegates filed out, many stopping to exchange words with the human delegation. Not out of fear anymore. Out of respect. I resigned my position that evening. Not because I disapproved of what the humans had done. Because I finally understood it. The galaxy had spent millennia believing power came from fleets and weapons. The humans had shown everyone that real power came from something simpler: the absolute unwillingness to accept unacceptable outcomes. My final report is short. Consider it a warning, or consider it advice. Either way, remember this: humans will negotiate. They will compromise. They will be patient. But they have a line. Cross it, and nothing will stop them. Not laws. Not councils. Not armies. Captain Ron Vesk, retired. Earth, Sol System.